Hey, everybody, this is Red Taylor with the Red Hot Read. I'm super excited about today's podcast and the guest that I'm bringing to you. This guy is a dynamic human being. He is a believer in Jesus Christ. He's a husband, father of four, business owner, entrepreneur, pilot, coach, and a great American patriot. His name is Blake Blomquist, and he's blazed his path to financial success as a cemeterian and a monument builder. Having served families from all walks of life for over the last 3 decades, he has seen and felt what it means to love the United States of America for what it stands for its citizens, and for the opportunities it provides those who are willing to work hard and walk with willingness to never quit or give up. Blake never finished college, and he barely graduated high school, having received his higher education degree in mowing lawns and raking leaves for his neighbors, learning how to sell and serve the public. He was never satisfied with the financial constraints of a 9-to-5 job and always had it in him to want something more. And that's when he decided to go self-employed. And when he did that, he figured that healthcare, child care, death care would be the business segments that would provide an economy-proof income stream. And so he submersed himself into the cemetery sector of business. Listen to this. After being denied by over 20 lenders to fund his acquisition of his first cemetery, Forest Hills Memorial Gardens, in 2002, he finally talked a banker into funding the acquisition. From there, he applied the lessons that he had learned through life, doubled the company's revenue in a very short time, and he's grown his business group to include multiples of the most notable properties in the Atlanta metro area. By experiencing firsthand what America offers those who are willing to work hard, and by also being raised by a father that served in Korea for the U.S. Army, one of his biggest regrets was not actually serving himself. Blomquist is an avid bow hunter, a farmer in Pine Mountain, Georgia, and he enjoys spending time with his family and friends and enjoying all the places that God has given us in plain view. Having personally cultivated the American dream for his own family, he has a deep desire to fight for his country in a different way than serving in the military, and that's by being an outspoken patriot who wants to help save this country from being torn apart by those that say they serve the public, but in reality are only serving themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Blake Bilake Blomquist.
Thanks, Red. Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey,
thanks for reading that out. My wife did good writing that, didn't she?
I think she did great. Hey, I'm going to have her on next, right?
Well, hey, I said, baby, Red wants me to give him a bio. I said, what do I say? She goes, well, think about that for a minute. Hold on. And then I said, well, just read out what you would do if you were going to introduce me to a large crowd, And so she did, and I was typing as fast as I could with my fat fingers on my phone.
Man, she did a fantastic job. And I know Jennifer is extremely talented as well. But today's all about you and me talking. And like I said, I really appreciate you being here. I think that you are one of the most extraordinary men that I've known for the past 15, 20 years. It's been a true blessing for you to be my friend. You've mentored me in several different areas in life. And my hope today is that our conversation and sharing what you and I have experiences in our life are able to inspire other people that are going through life. And it doesn't matter what you're going through, because everybody's going through it, okay? We're going to, that's the whole thing about life, is we're going to go through the ups and downs of life. And if we're lucky and we've got a little bit of wisdom, then we're going to be able to ride those waves and those good times, and then we're going to be able to endure those tough times that we all face.
Yeah, and we faced them.
Yeah.
I've seen you face them. You've seen me face them, brother. The lowest of the lows.
Right.
Honestly.
Right.
I mean, and, it's a blessing you have in your life that you are able to have friends and people that you're able to stay in contact with. And those are really the best types are the ones you might not see for 6 months, but because of what you were together and you spent this time together in those lows.
Yeah.
Man, it just brings a bond between, two people that, you ain't got to see each other every week or every month. I mean, when was the last time we actually got together?
Dang, brother. It's
It's been a year.
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And when, we get together here this morning, It ain't. It's like we've been,
ain't missed a beat.
And that's the reason behind that, I think, is because there's a reason why baseball players that even only play one season together, they're like best friends forever. They might not see each other for 5 or 10 years, but when they get together, they love each other.
Yeah.
And it's because they were with each other in failure.
Well, that's it. They went through those hard times together.
Yeah.
They grinded together. They suffered together, and they had a common bond of trying to achieve a goal together.
Man.
Okay, and I think that's one of the things about us and people like us is that we pull for each other, right?
Yeah.
And you know, like you said, we don't have to be in each other's lives all the time. I've fondly accused you and described you to many people as being busier than an octopus on roller skates.
Hey, and I still am. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 54, and I'm looking at what my life looks like right now, and I'm like, I may be more busy right now in many ways than I've ever been.
crazy.
And I've got my daughter's, had 3 kids at home for the last 20 years. And my daughter's about to graduate high school. You'd think things are starting to slow down. They're not.
Right.
They're just not.
Right.
And, you know, I don't even know what it would look like if it were.
No, that's in you, man. That's in your DNA.
I know.
Is you got to keep moving, and that's one of the things that I wanted to get into today and share some of the intricacies and the genius that is Blake Blomquist, because people need to hear this story. But first thing that I got to hear it, man. People got to know. So you decided to go into the cemetery business, and that's obviously an uncommon thing that most people would ever think about going into, because nobody really relates death to money and to goodness. However, I do have I've developed a principle on that. But hearing no from more than 20 lenders to help you fund your dream, to help you fund your initial entrepreneurial spirit and project, to finally continue to go and persevere to find somebody to say yes, keep knocking on that door. How did you do it, man?
You know, it was kind of strange because, in order to get the first business and purchase it, I was able to talk the owner of it, of 40 plus years, to an owner finance. All right, so I had to cash out my IRA, which I didn't have a whole lot. I mean, I was 2001. I was, 33. 30, and so I didn't have a ton.
33.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so. My wife had worked for a builder. They had an employee program. If we build a house for one of our employees, you get it at cost plus $5,000. So we did that. We had a little equity in our house. And then I actually talked the owner of the park at that time, and he trusted me. I'd been working for him.
Relationship.
Yes, and I trusted him. And I said, look, Roger, I've made all these sales to people that they're making payments every month. Make me an officer of the company, and let me take your receivables to the bank and get a small loan on that against our receivables. And he said, no problem, do it. And I had to give him a down payment, right? And he knew once I took the business over, the receivables were going to be mine anyway. So I was able to get him to agree to that. So I went to a little bank called eBank, got a little loan on the receivables. I cashed in my IRA with a 10% penalty. I mean, I liquidated all the equity in our house, and my wife and I were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
She knew I could do it. I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to outwork any problem that might come up, And so we worked out a deal. Well, every year the payment was ramping up. That was part of our deal. And I had to pay it off by a certain time, and it wasn't a long time.
Right.
So it got about, I'm thinking 6-8 months, before I start going around talking to banks. And they didn't know anything about the cemetery. We've never loaned money to a cemetery.
No. Yeah.
How does a cemetery make money? I mean, so the very first bank I went to, I thought I'm going just like I buy a car. Fill out an application, show them my tax returns, and no big deal. I got 42 acres here. We're doing $1 million plus a year. I mean,
You're having to educate them on how a different sector of the business works and talk them into, this is a safe loan for you guys. You're a bank. You're in business to
safer than
loan
any
money.
loan you've ever made.
I mean, everybody's going to die.
Well, and it was so crazy because, I went into it pretty naive, the first bank, right? Mm-hmm. And so, they gather all their stuff. They do their, you talk to them a little bit, and then you get a no. All right, so you ask them, well, would you mind Could you tell me what was lacking, what I was deficient with my application and the information that I gave you, my books? What was it?
Right.
Most of the time, it was just, we just never lended to a cemetery.
They didn't know. It
And
was different.
Right.
They couldn't wrap their heads around it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I also found out that in the state of Georgia, there was a tiny little place in the law that said you can't put a lien on any property that's dedicated to cemetery. So all the land that I had was unlienable. So that was another obstacle. And I learned this as I'm going through
So
this
you're
process.
learning all of the transactional features that have to take place as you're doing this. And as you're gaining a little bit of knowledge, is that giving you more hope to be able to go to the next guy, and try to talk them in a little bit more and say, this is what you can do, this is what you can do?
Yeah, I took the feedback if I was able to get it, and if I was able to get what I felt was honest feedback.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times a banker, when he tells you no, and he knows that he's saying no because he doesn't understand your business. He's not going to tell you, I don't understand your business. He's going to say, well, we just didn't think it was going to work out with our portfolio, or what. He's not going to give you just some.
He's not going to tell you they don't have knowledge of how
No.
this is going to work for them. It's just
Right.
didn't work for us.
So, but every no, I change a little something, add a little something. I talked to people that were in business, had been in business. I showed them what I was doing. They gave me suggestions. And I was crafting this presentation until I got to the 19th one who said yes. Now, but the day before closing, he said no. No, the 18th one said yes. The day before closing, he said, we're not going to close.
Oh, my God. You must have been devastated.
Well, he had sold the bank. Like, since, in that month of time. And so then the 19th one said yes. Well, it turns out the chairman of the board was friends with a funeral director that was down the street from me, and I'm their competitor.
Competition.
And he said, you don't want to do business with that guy. I'm his competitor.
Right.
And he said no a day before the closing.
Politics.
So the 20th one, maybe, I was their first business loan, a new bank.
Unbelievable.
A new bank. And now,
And you were the first business loan.
yeah, first business loan they made.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I was one of their first business account holders. And I had a relationship with them for, oh, goodness, from 2001 till just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an incredible story of adaptation. You had to continue to adapt your presentation, to adapt the terms, and to overcome the adversity and the obstacles of getting shut down, of getting slapped in the face and punched in the nose, and that door slammed on you, and get up and go again. What a great lesson in life. And that's one of the things that we want to focus on here on the Red Hot Read, is how this isn't business that we're talking about. This is life. Okay, because every single one of us are dealing with some kind of broken, scenario today. I mean, whether you're struggling financially, whether you're struggling with a marriage, or whether
roadblocks.
Yeah,
in
this
your
is
life.
roadblocks.
Yeah.
Whether the doctor came in with bad news, or whether your job, you've got a lady in the cubicle next to you and she's treating you poorly. She don't like you, and so we're having to deal with roadblocks and adversities. And I'm here to tell you today, and just like Blake just explained to us, it's not the adversity that's going to make the difference in your life, whether you're successful, whether you got joy, whether you have peace, but it's how you deal with those adversities. Can you get yourself back up? Can you go another day? Can you go another play? Can you knock on another door? And what I want you to understand today is that you can.
Yes,
you have that in you.
You can.
Okay? You have that inside of you. You had it in you. God put a dream in your heart somewhere, some way, all the way back when you were young, and you were raking those leaves, you were working at Ace Hardware, you were cutting people's grass, and there was a dream in your heart that said, I want more. I'm better than this. Somehow, some way, that dream was put in your heart. And he didn't put it, listen to me, he didn't put it in your heart to not see it come true. He didn't do that, but it took action. It wasn't going to just go poof and be magic, right? It took action. It took massive action and going all in.
All in.
All in.
Well, and you said I wanted more.
Yes.
Brother, I had to have more. It wasn't a matter of want. I mean, I can remember working at Ace Hardware, and I had wonderful men pour into me. It was really my first job.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And, Bill Ragsdale, Steve Ragsdale, the Edwards brothers, Darren Morrell, Harold Hardage, Bob Pridham. I can name them all.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much from those guys, and I loved them.
Yeah.
But I worked next to another guy. I can't remember his name, but he was a fellow guy that worked this register when you needed to and went and helped customers stock shelves. I put together wheelbarrows. I mean, he was doing the same thing I was doing as a 20-year-old, at 18, 19, 17-year-old kid. And I know what I'm making. $3.25 an hour is what I started. But when I ended up being like assistant store manager, I was making $2.70 after taxes. So I'm thinking, he ain't doing much more than I am. Man, what was he making?
Simple math here works, right?
He got 2 kids and a wife at home and a house.
Yeah.
I mean, how is he doing this?
Right.
So I said, I started interacting with my customers in a way and then one thing led to another, that led to another, that led to, and I just never felt like I was where I belonged until I worked for me.
Yeah.
So really my first job of raking leaves and using the neighbor's mower to mow grass, my dad said I wanted an ATC 110 four-wheeler, all right? 14 years old. I wanted one so bad. We went down to the Honda shop. I got the color brochure. I had it up on the wall in my room.
Dreaming.
$995 plus tax.
Couldn't even fathom in your mind how to get that much money.
So I said, Dad, listen, I want this so bad. He made me a deal. He said, son, you got all summer. He goes, whatever you can make this summer, I'll match it. So if you can make $500, by the end of summer, I'll match you $500 and we'll do it. Buddy, I had my $500 in 2 weeks. My dad was going, where am I going to get my $500? I wanted that thing so bad, and I just went out knocking doors, brother.
Yeah,
so I was actually happier with my first job, and then I had a lot of jobs that I just, oh, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I got back to working for myself again and made the decision, I'm doing this. I got to be happy like I was then. I can't do this every day.
Yeah.
Watching the clock, man.
Yeah.
It's so slow.
Yeah.
The clock's slow, brother.
Yeah,
and your life is just traveling past you.
Passing you by.
Right in front of you.
And you're just so unhappy and you're not, and you lack joy. And I can relate to that so much. When I was young, we had a buddy of ours, Tyler Johnston, his father owned a landscaping company. And so we'd all, starting in junior high school, we'd all go work for Mr. Johnson. And then, I ended up, through high school, we'd work on the weekends. I all played football and we'd work on the weekends. And instead of having the high business IQ at that point in time, I was just a jock. I just wanted to play football. And, I was a 5'9", white kid in Alabama, and I thought I was going to play pro someday. So I didn't have a good sense of reality.
You were labor. You were labor.
Yeah. And so we go on the weekends, we carry a pickaxe and a shovel and work for, $50 a day, $50 a day cash. Mr. Johnson come in and pays cash. So, but what
got
it
to
did,
have you, baby.
Hey, Red, I gotta have you, baby. I gotta have you.
I know you're tired.
Hey, he'd take every excuse you had away from you.
I'll pay you a little extra come payday.
Yeah. Now go get me 12 bales of hay, 16 Nandinas, 4 Indiana Hawthorne. Load up the truck, go take it to Miss Farmer's house. She's worrying the hell out of me, baby. So I got to have you. So
I feel like I know him.
I've told so many stories. Hey, we can have a whole podcast on talking about Mr. Johnson.
You remember when we made my voicemail, Mr. Johnston, on my business phone?
Oh man,
it was great.
But what I want to relate that to is the fact that man played such an impact in my life because he started pouring into me belief and confidence. I came from brokenness. My father was an alcoholic, and he left us, our family, my mom and my brothers and sisters. There were 5 of us. Walked out at 9 years old, and my mother, broke her heart. She ended up in a mental institution for a little while, and so and then both of those guys have been gone for quite a while, and so I really never had anything. But a man like Mr. Johnston poured into me. My high school football coach, Spence McCracken, the greatest leader of men that I've ever been around. In fact, he's voted as the greatest high school football coach in the history of the state of Alabama. Made such a profoundly positive impact in me and literally thousands of other men, and he did it speaking to 5 guys at a time. 20 guys at a time. Coach McCracken would speak to 70, 80 players at a time, and has changed the world in his young men becoming leaders in our society today. Not only is it me, but I've got a group of friends, a group of brothers, like we said earlier, that are high achievers and that guys that are just chasing greatness in their lives. Sure, they go through hard times, but because of what these guys did and poured into us, because of what you're saying, and that dream in our heart that we wanted more, and those guys instilling in the confidence and the work ethic and the belief in us that we could have more, it's helped to change our world and make an impact. One of the things I wanted to touch on with you, Blake, going back to it is, and you kind of explained it, you got an extremely high business IQ. I've been around a lot of many successful businessmen in my life, and I've been successful in my own realm. I'm very thankful for that. But when did you realize your love for business, and exactly how do you feel like you developed this business IQ and this love for business and wanting to grow?
Well, if you ask my wife, my approach is called wishy-washy. And I am. I've always been. I mean, I look at the way that I make a decision whether I'm going to do this or I'm going to pass on this. Whether it's a small job or I'm going to build I'm going to put the granite floor into the new courthouse or whatever. I'm going to acquire another park or whatever. And I just have my own way. I don't think anybody's ever really taught me to do it. I mean, when I was young, they tell you make a T-chart of yeses and advantages, pros and cons, and that's part kind of that map. But I don't write it down like that anymore. But I do look at it, and I try to stand back and look at the bigger picture, and it's really what's in my heart about this. I mean, if the numbers make sense, okay, or they almost make sense, or maybe they don't make much sense, but we might be able to make them make sense. I mean, there's a lot that goes into wondering, should we? Should I? No, yes, maybe.
So you're not. So you're not one of the data analysts coming from the Harvard MBA school. No. That you're not one of those guys.
No. I just said, and then when I get it all together, I show it to my wife. I said, "What do you think?" And then somehow, some way, she's always right about.
She's
that
your
stuff.
litmus test.
Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, when she says yes,
it's a go.
Yeah. When she says and she'll even always like, I'm right when it comes to this kind of stuff because I know it in my heart. This is not something you need.
You're the risk taker, she's the more conservative, or is it she's got an instinct and you guys are in tune that much to be able to have the trust and accountability to each other that you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We sync up in that way. I mean, they say that, couples fight more about money than anything. I can't remember us ever having an argument about money, and we sync up in her risk taking, my level of comfort with risk taking, and our conservative thought on other, in time. It's weird. It is kind of weird. And
do you so and I want everybody to understand this. You've amassed quite an impressive portfolio with you're the largest. I think you have 3 cemeteries now inside
Fulton County.
Inside Fulton County. Are you the largest landowner inside the perimeter? Some say whatever.
People have said that to me. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, we had never done a search.
There's probably some guy down in South Fulton's got 500 acres.
You never even heard of it.
Yeah, he's got corn growing down on the Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. As far as so a business portfolio, you've got an impressive real estate portfolio with multiple different properties across multiple different states, and to amass a net worth of I'm just gonna conservatively guess north of $25 million. And so what you're telling our customer or our people today is that you don't have to be scientific. You don't have to be a Harvard MBA. You don't have to go and just go strictly on data analysis. How did you do it? How do you do it?
You got to want to. You don't have to start out a millionaire to become a millionaire. I mean, it's easy to make money once you got a little bit of it because you can afford to lose some of it, which gives you the open heart to be able to be willing to do, willing to do certain things.
Right.
But take that out.
Okay.
The concrete that sits below our feet, the foundation of all of that is desire.
Yes.
All right. Desire. Do you have the desire? All right. everybody probably gonna say yes.
They all
but
do.
then do you have the ability to reject the passivity of being okay and stagnant where you're at and settling on where you're at? Or are you going to reject that and take a step and be a little bit bold and believe in yourself enough?
Courage.
That's it.
Courage.
Courage.
Courage is the principle by which all others stand. And what you just said right there resonates with me, and I want it to resonate with you as well. I want you to hear what he says. So everybody's got a desire, right? And if you're in a place right now where you're sick and tired, and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, whether you're struggling in your finances, it's difficult. We all know inflation's going crazy, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later. It's obviously far higher than the 3.2% that the government's telling us, but and you know, when you go to the grocery store, you're struggling trying to make your bills. You're struggling trying to grow your family and do the things that you want for your family. And so the desire is there, and you're fed up with it. But in order to make that change, in order to go and achieve the greatness, the financial, whatever success that you want to achieve, the relationship success that you want to, the physical fitness success that you want to achieve, because so many people are not loving themselves enough to physically treat their body, the temple that God has given us, in a manner by which it's supposed to be treated if you love it, right? Because a lot of us are not very, very healthy. So,
but even those people probably have a desire to be.
They got a desire, but the difference is action. It's action. You have to be willing to take action, and you can. We can all take action. Simple, actionable steps that begin today. You know what they are? Go to bed early tonight. Go to bed early tonight and get a good night's sleep. Next, wake up early tomorrow morning. Okay? Set your alarm clock.
Make your bed.
Make your bed and sit in a moment of gratitude. Sit in a moment of gratefulness and thankfulness, okay? Give yourself 5 minutes. That's it, okay? Give yourself 5 minutes to be thankful. God, thank you for waking me up today. Thank you for giving me health. Lord, thank you for giving this person next to me that I can't stand half the time because she's right half the time, or because he's right half the time, or because I'm going to make him better today, or because I'm going to pour inspiration into her life today and start being the person that she needs me to be, that I was called to be, that I said I was going to be that time when I said I do, okay? Thank you for giving me children who are healthy. Thank you for giving me a job that I can go to work to. I don't love it. I don't like it, but I do get to make money, and I do get to pay for this life. And thank you for this dream that you've put into my heart to be something more and to be something greater. That's it. Hey, and then go to the gym. Yeah. Okay.
And don't eat till dinner that day.
Walk out the front door and walk for 30 minutes. Those are simple, actionable steps that if you repeat them over and over again, that are going to lead you to be more successful, to achieving the goals. I promise you, if you do them, it's like compounded interest, 1%. Every single day. Just get 1% better. Just do 1% more every single day. And listen, if you screw it up, if you mess it up today, if you sleep late, okay, if you don't go to the gym, if you wake up and you feel like crap and you're in a bad mood and you're pissed off at everybody, you know what? Have the courage to forgive yourself, okay? Because you know why? You ain't perfect. None of us are perfect. The only one that's perfect, he stepped up like a mighty warrior and carried a cross up a hill to his final destiny on this day 2,024 years ago. But the good news is he defeated that death. Okay? And I'm telling you right now, in that you have mercy, you have grace, and you have the power to overcome the brokenness that we all have. Man, I'll start
all
preaching.
Have.
That we all have.
Preach it, Red.
That we all have, okay? And I can only say that because that's who I am. I'm broken.
That is who we are.
Yes.
And that's who everyone is.
You know, Ed Milet, who I think is maybe the greatest self-improvement personality right now in the world. I mean, he's up there with Tony Robbins. I mean, you name it, Ed's up there. He's a phenomenal speaker. If you don't listen to his podcast, I'd recommend you to go and download his podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, and just spend a few minutes and start reading, because he's going to pour life into you and goodness into you and forgiveness and grace and all those things. But Ed Milet said something that resonates with me so much. He said that we are most qualified to help the person or persons that we used to be. Think about that. Think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
And if we're not in a position or in a place in our life where we have a desire to make a positive impact in others, okay, where we're here to help people, then I would say you can do that. I would say that that's your legacy, okay? Blake, you're in the death business. We're all going to die, aren't we?
How does someone put themselves in a position where they can pour into somebody? Now think about that, because most guys, all right, that are out carving their way through life financially, work-wise, right? They get up in the morning, they handle their calls, they drink a cup of coffee, get their emails caught up, head to the office, do their work, go do their business, come home, finish up their deal, hang out with the wife and the kids, do all that, eat dinner, watch a little TV, go to bed. That's a repeated pattern, that consistency
Cycle.
Every day.
It's the cycle of life.
But where do these men ever interact with others outside of that are our former selves? And man, hey, where have we do it? Where have we done it? Coaching. I mean, I remember I've had a friend, you know him, I'm not going to mention his name, one of the most hardest working, funniest, successful financial guys you'll ever meet. Unbelievable. Was drafted straight out of high school. Straight out of high school. Got shot. A drive-by BB gun into a crowd after graduation.
Freak accident. Shot his eye out.
Got his eye. Hey, done.
Baseball
Ain't playing baseball
dream,
no more.
Professional baseball
right?
career done. Over.
Man, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I beg him, come coach with me.
Yeah.
Do you understand that these young men need you?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not downing that individual. It's okay. I mean, coaches are hard to find.
Right.
But find a place where you can interact with people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, like you said, good coaches are hard to find. Great coaches are unicorns. They're not out there at any level. So I would tell anyone that it has a child or someone that they care about that's involved in organized sports, that we set these expectations for these coaches, and in Little League and travel ball and football, all that kind of stuff. All the coaches are free coaches. So just understand they're volunteers. They're not going to be very good. And I say this from a guy who was a professional coach. Somehow, some way, I ended up coaching high school football for 7 years, and ended up by I'm not sure
a
even
GA
how
for
it
Auburn
happened,
football.
getting on at Auburn University back in 1999 and 2000 for Coach Tuberville and his staff, and was way over my head. But I've always had a calling to coach and to help and to give back. And since I took a turn and went into my own business over the last 23 years, I've coached my son, I've coached a lot of different teams, and I've had an opportunity to mentor a lot of kids and make a positive impact, hopefully, in a lot of kids' lives, and have a lot of great relationships. And so I challenge anyone that has it in your heart or in you to make a positive impact in others, to get up and go do it. Because let me tell you something, we are all going to die. I think that the more that I get older, the more I start to focus on death as a positive thing, right? Because, our time here is limited, and our days are numbered, and nobody knows when that last day is. I mean, my mother was, shot and killed and murdered in the middle of the night. It's just a freak thing. And so nobody expects anything like that. And you probably know somebody that's had that happen. And so what I would say is that in order for us to leave a legacy, so that, 3 months, 6 months after we're gone, that nobody really ever talks about us anymore, except when, maybe at Christmas, everybody's gathering around and say, remember that time old Red did something stupid? And everybody laughs about it for a second and then goes on. That we make an impact and we spread ourselves out, and you make a difference in other people's lives, so that they have your input and they're able to spread it out to others' lives. So in being in the business that you're in, how important do you feel that is?
Oh, listen, in my business, I come into contact with people from all walks of life, brother.
Right.
I mean, I'm talking about family that's got maybe $5,000 worth of insurance trying to figure out how to pay the funeral home and to get grandma buried, to people that they don't even need to worry about that because they're just going to put it on their gold card American Express, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I deal with Latino families, black families, Jewish families, Korean families, Chinese families, American families.
Humans.
Yes. And you see so many different types of people. And it's funny because you make some really close, long-lasting relationships when you are walking beside them as they're going through a tough time in their life. And then other people are so closed off that you don't really have that opportunity, right? All you can do is do your best, serve them, But there's always a spot there if you're willing to take it, to give them some comfort, to provide them with some clarity about, listen, what you're feeling is normal. Right? Everybody grieves different. And what all the family members need to understand is just because he's acting crazy a little bit, buddy, he's hurting.
Right.
That's how he grieves.
Yeah.
He doesn't grieve like you grieve. And then you guys, you're kind of joking around, having a good time.
And you communicate that to the families?
Yeah. Oh, the years and years when I meet with families, I still meet with families today. And yes, because they need to know my family ain't crazy. You know what I'm saying?
That is so good.
And that's just is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes along with that too.
Right.
But you just got to love on people.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it real quick. Not to go back to the coaching, but how many times have you coached a team of players and there was one or two guys that right out of the gate, you didn't like them? And then as you coach them throughout that season, you start caring about them because you understand now why you don't like them.
Well, they're hurting.
They're hurting.
And they're acting out.
They want to be accepted by the other guys. Maybe usually one of those guys
and
is
the
the
kids
guy.
kids are ruthless.
The first day you're walking out to the parking lot of your car, you see him sitting on the curb because ain't nobody there to pick him up yet. And you say to him, "Hey, bub, you want me to give you a ride home?"
Yep.
"No, coach. Mom's on her way."
Yeah.
One of those kids might be a kid. Usually is the one you've never see his dad.
He doesn't have a father.
Right.
And that's when you tell him, "Boy, get in the car. Let's go. I'm gonna take you home."
But then you start understanding them. Right. And so if you look and you listen, you start to understand, and then you start to care. But then at the very end, you fall in love with those boys.
Yeah.
And so if you see the opportunity, take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
So good. So good. Brother, that is so good, man. You're a good man. I appreciate that. That is awesome. And so many people need to hear that because there's so many in your community. There's so many that are in your circle. There's so many that are in your children's circle that just need somebody to put an arm around them and say, "Hey, man, you're good. I got you. Okay. I know it sucks right now. I know it stinks right now. Okay. But let me tell you something. This is temporary. If you can just keep going, if you can just push through this and don't make mistakes that are going to change your life. That's what, I've got, my wife and I've got 6 kids and 4 of them are 20-somethings. Actually, heck, 5 of them. Thanks, guys. Are 20-somethings. So that's what we tell them all the time, guys. Just, we know you're going to screw up, okay? Your dad was the greatest screw up of all time, and we know you're going to make mistakes, and we're here. We're going to love you through every single one of them. I'm going to tell you when you're wrong, okay? And I'm going to let you know that what you're doing, I don't like it. I love you. I love you beyond words, but I really don't like what you're doing. And as long as you don't make mistakes that are going to follow you for the rest of your life, we can work through it, and you can work through it. Yeah. Okay. And I think that's a message for even us. I'm 51, you're 54. Everyone needs to carry that in their mind. We're all going to make mistakes. Nobody's got the blueprint on perfection. Nobody's got the blueprint on every relationship, every decision that we got. Man, I've got relationship issues that I'm dealing with through some of my companies and things like that because there's, like you mentioned earlier, there's some politics and there's leverage and there's jockeying and things like that. And my hope and my prayer is that I do the right things, okay, first and foremost to, what my interests are, but that protect everybody else's interests so that we can find wins for all those involved. And that's the whole goal in principle that I do business with is let me leave enough on the pie so that you can win as well. Yeah, right. Because if we all can win, hey, tell me what you want, okay? Tell me what you want. let me see if I can do that. Or, hey, how about we do this? And you say, okay, yeah, and let's go win together, and let's get this other guy and this other guy, and we can win even bigger. And that's relationships, that's business, that's coaching, that's everything in life. One of the things that I wanted to ask you real quick, and we're going to change subjects after this, is you're one of the best I've ever known. Best humans I've ever known at creating and maintaining meaningful relationships. Like you mentioned earlier, we hadn't seen each other in a year. And man, look at us right here. And dude, you sent me a video of you talking to a lady the other night, and it's probably been, a month ago that, and it's, just a different type of person. But brother,
the best kind of person.
Yeah,
in my
salt
opinion.
of the earth, sitting there. She had a cigarette in her hand and a drink,
Her name's Laura Jean.
Laura Jean.
From Kentucky.
Laura Jean from
and listen,
Kentucky.
I call her Laurent Jean. No, she's great. But yeah, listen.
Tell me about that. Tell us how you do
I
it,
don't
man.
listen. I don't know. I've never really thought about that really until until now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think that I think about the people I care about a lot. I spend some time in the car a lot, more than probably the average person. I mean, what's your drive to your office?
4 minutes. 7
4
minutes. 7.
Yeah. My drive can be an hour.
Yeah.
To an hour and a half.
Inner city Atlanta.
Down on the south side. I live up on the north side.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I'm always thinking about the people in my life, the people that I care about. And when you're thinking about them, what's wrong with? Think about it. Used to be you had to be sitting at your kitchen table with the telephone with the cord on it in your hand and dial them up to talk to them, or write them a letter. But today, your phone's in your hand constantly, and you can text them, you can send them a message, you can shoot them a Facebook or an Instagram, but whatever. There's no excuse for not continuing to stay in touch with the people who've been a part of your life and who you care about. And it's funny because I do pride myself in making sure that I reach out.
You're good. You're good at it.
And not in a creative, different, not the same way every time. Like I saw one of our players, Crackilac, of Murphy, North Carolina.
Yeah.
He just got ordained, and he's going to be the
McCracken?
The youth pastor at the church.
Oh, dude, he's going to rock the world.
I didn't just text that boy. I text him, call him. There's no, and you can stay in touch.
You got to send me his number so I can shoot him a text.
Crackilac.
I love him, Crack. I love him. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
And what you said there is so good. What you said is so good. It's just caring about people. Okay.
Yeah.
If you care about people, and it's important to you that other people know that you care, and that they know that you believe in them, and that they can do whatever they believe or that they desire to do, and that it's important to you just to reach out to them and say, "Hey, man, I care about you. I believe in you, and
been thinking about you.
It.
How you doing?
Go for it. How are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey. If you need to get on a call, man, I can chop it up with
anytime.
you. Anytime. Let's go, guys. It takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it means the world to people. That's one thing that I will tell you that I do from time to time. Probably need to do it much more often, but when you're in your gratitude time in the morning, when I'm in my gratefulness and thankfulness time in the morning, if I do have something put on my spirit and somebody or some people that I'm thinking about, man, I'm fixing to shoot them a text right then and let them know, brother, I've been thinking about you. I remember that time that we were sitting in the batting cages on this weekend at about 12 or 13 you and a dynamic individual named Jody Wade, and I hope to have Jody on the show soon. He sat us down, our 12, 13-year-old boys in the batting cages between baseball games up there playing travel baseball, and told the most awe-inspiring story of Jesus's
resurrection.
Well, not the resurrection today.
Friday. Right.
Of how they tortured him and they beat him and they put that cross on him, and he stood up like a king of all kings and a warrior of all warriors, and he carried it up to the top of the hill to his final destiny. And I let him know this one. I hadn't talked to Jody in probably 2 years. I shot him a text this morning and said, brother, I remember that to this day, and I thank you for it. It made such an impact on my life, and I know it made an impact on my son and many other people's sons, and I just wanted to thank you. Dude, bam, shot back. Brother, You just made my day. Thank you so much.
Unrehearsed.
Unrehearsed.
Hey,
And so,
former Furman baseball player. Furman's
Two-sport
no longer has baseball.
Yep.
I mean, what medical sales guy?
Oh, highly successful.
Unbelievable. I've heard him pour into guys and pour. I remember him praying over Brian Doyle.
oh man,
Do you remember that?
yes.
And
yes.
we all put our hands on him.
Parkinson's, yes.
He had Parkinson's
Yeah,
disease.
yeah.
Asking the Lord to cast that out of his body.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Brian Doyle ain't got Parkinson's.
He don't have it anymore.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't
Unbelievable.
shake anymore.
Unbelievable.
The doctors
I love
can't explain it. I can.
I can. Absolutely.
I heard Jody Wade.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember that day.
That's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And you know, if you can't tell, I'm a Christian and Blake's a Christian, and this is not a religious show, but and listen, whatever religion you are, we're not judging here. We're not any kind of judge whatsoever. I want everybody to be whatever you are, whatever it takes for you to be happy, to have joy, to have peace, to have fulfillment, to have the drive in your life. That's what we're for. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and that saved me from my sins. And you know, anyway, that's where we are. And hopefully that's not going to be a turnoff to you as an audience today, but rather an invitation to learn more. And the only reason I can say that is because I'm a sinner from day one to today. I mean, for every single day, I'm born a sinner, and I just try to wake up tomorrow and do a little bit better and be reborn in Christ. So, and I am not worthy or qualified to even make those statements to you guys. So I just want y'all to know that. Let's switch gears real quick, please. You consider yourself an American patriot. You got great love for this country. Your father is served the Army in the Korean War, not in the Korean War, but in Korea. My father served it as an Air Force veteran in the Korea, and you have a great love for this country, as do I. How do you feel about where we are today as a country? How do you feel about the future of our country and what awaits the next generation?
You know, I can remember little kids, 6, 7, 8 years old. My dad had a an old photo book album with the pictures he had. That the old Polaroid, or they probably 35 million. You had to go get them. Get them. What do they call it when you get the
develop?
Yeah, develop.
Yeah.
And they were all stuck in there with little stickers in the corners, pages of them, of my dad in the barracks.
Yeah.
Doing this, doing that, working. He was a radioman. Hang at funny pictures. I mean, like they'd have I think they'd party a little bit, drink that Black Label beer, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's a good time. And I'd see those pictures of my dad, and I saw a side of him that I that was my little door I could open to see a side of my dad. If you look closely, that I never got to see.
Look into his life
in
that
person.
he didn't let you into in
Right.
his day to day.
Right. I'd sneak in there and get that thing. Look at it.
Yeah.
And I remember some of the pictures I would see of him in his dress uniform. And even though he never acquired a big rank or anything like that, I always felt proud that my dad was a veteran.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of veteran. He doesn't take any veterans benefits. He doesn't go to the VA. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And didn't really talk about it that much,
Mm-hmm.
But when I see the F-15s fly over, it'll bring a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulls at your heart. Tugs at you.
Yes, it does. And I just think about all the people who, you talk about we're all going to die. How many 18-year-old, 17-year-olds who lied that they said they were 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds who literally were told, take that hill, and tried and failed and died. Can you count them?
Yeah,
Have you
no.
ever counted that high?
No.
No one's counted that high. Sat there 1, 2, 3, and sat there until they got to that number.
Right.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
And then you think about kind of where we are now, and look, it's a sad thing because it's gotten beyond Republican, Democrat, Independent, buddy. If you open your eyes a little bit and you look into that little portfolio, that little book that you used to slide out from your daddy, and you look at what's going on with our leaders of this company, they call it, It's good versus evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't care what you say. I don't care what anyone says. There's truth in that.
Well, I think there's so much truth in that because if we look into what's going on with the folks that were leading us that are leading us right now, and that you have this two-party system, which whoever came up with that, and so you have
people that's been in
people that's
politics
been in
for 50 years.
politics for 50 years. They've got a net worth of $200 million. What's Nancy Pelosi? $250 million.
Well, and there's a bunch of them on both sides,
on
brother.
both sides. Well, I think that when you start really diving in, what you figure out if you have your eyes open, which I think more people right now have their eyes open. I think we're going through what may be called a great awakening, is that instead of having Republicans and Democrats, you have patriots and traitors, and maybe a uniparty authoritarian system that many of them up there, instead of serving the rights of the people and the interest of the people, are they serving the rights and the interest of themselves?
Well, I mean, look, you got more than 60 Minutes, 2020, and Channel 5, Channel 11, Channel 2, 46, and 36.
Right.
And an AM radio, a couple FM stations, but they only play music. You understand what I'm saying? You've got more than that now.
Information.
It's at your fingertips. It's literally at your fingertips. All you have to do is look, listen, read a little, and think. Now, if you do all that, whatever synopsis you come up with to summarize what the situation is, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But when you don't look, read, listen, study it a little bit, you're just getting your information from maybe one place. Just listening to people that are only like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a faulty premise to make a judgment on anything.
Yeah, look at our history. The history of our country, dating all the way back to slavery, to the Civil War, to the Revolutionary War, to the Civil War. And today, we're all free men. Okay? Everyone that lives in this country today is free. We're free to think for ourselves. We're free to ascertain the information for ourselves, to vet those information sources for ourselves. And so if you do spend a little bit of time going down the hole, looking for information, looking for the truth, being a freeman, then you're probably going to see a scenario where the vast majority of folks that we're sending our tax money to, our hard-earned tax money to, that you're being taxed on multiple different times on the same dollar, okay, they may not have our best interest at heart. And so when I ask you about the future, how do we feel about the future of our children and the next generation, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. I'm going to get into something I read this morning. We're sitting right now where we have, right under a $35 trillion sovereign debt, okay, a sovereign deficit. And so I think, within the next week, it's going to hit $35 trillion.
A trillion every 100 days.
Yes, 35 trillion. We're adding a trillion every 100 days.
100 days.
Yeah, every 100
Sorry.
days we're adding a trillion every 100 days. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand something. I cannot wrap my head around $1 trillion. Okay, I don't know if you can. You make a lot of money. You have a net worth. I've got a significant net worth as well.
No, you
but
can't.
when you think about $1 trillion, you say the word and it's not even right. It's out of a space movie or something like that. And so when we're adding a trillion every 100 days, okay, the interest on that, because we still have to pay interest on it, well, right now interest rates are pretty dang high, is exceeding our national defense spending. Okay, and so you look at what that's causing. Nobody wants to say, well, what does that even mean? Well, what it does is it trickles down to me and you and to the black, brown, and blue-collar working Americans that are out there busting their rumps trying to make it every day. When you go to the grocery store, okay, your dollar goes less. When you go to the gas pump, your dollar goes less. When you go and pay your electric bill, your gas bill, your energy bill, your dollar goes less far. And so put that into and go buy a car. Who can buy a house now? Okay, we got housing prices all-time highs, interest rates all-time highs, mortgage applications all-time lows. Your son, our children, how are they going to be able to buy a house unless we help them? Okay, so our next generation the 20s, the 18s, the 22s, the 23s, the 17s, the 16s, them coming up right now, the idea of the attainable American dream, it's not there for them right now. They cannot afford to buy a house. The average house price in America right now is $475,000.
Well, I don't know, buddy. They got those new townhouses getting built up over the hill, up over the lake. They're $350.
The townhouse.
I mean, there's a townhouse.
There's a 2-bedroom
You're
townhouse.
You're gonna have to buy a townhouse.
Yeah, or rent. Because you got big conglomerates like BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard.
Sucking them all out.
They're going out there buying massive tracts of property, and they're turning them into lease and rents. But what I wanted to say is, when you take all that in consideration and you factor in that credit card debt is at an all-time high. I think it's at $10 trillion for Americans with credit card debt. Credit card interest rates are at an all-time high. I think the average credit card interest rate is at 22, 23%. Now we're seeing that credit card delinquency payments are at an all-time high. Automobile loan payments are at an all-time high. Automobile delinquencies are at an all-time high. Repossessions. So Americans are paying for inflation on their credit cards. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that the rubber is going to meet the road. I don't see how it's sustainable. Do you?
Well, and you don't even bring into the equation that all those high-rise buildings you see in the downtown skylines, they're less than half full.
Oh, yeah. The commercial real estate scenario is about to be an absolute bust. I read a statistic the other day that commercial real estate in America, basically office buildings is what the big number is, that there's $1.9 trillion. And I keep using these words. I hope everybody can follow me on this, but there's $1.9 trillion worth of commercial real estate office buildings loans that have to be reserviced by the end of 2025. Okay? Well, what happened during COVID? Everybody quit going to work and they're working from home. So all the occupancy rates of these office buildings, these commercial buildings are down 25, 27, 22, 31% in big cities now. So what happens when you don't occupy the building to the value of the building? It goes down, okay? Interest rates are up, and when they have to reservice the debt, what happens to the payments?
It goes up.
They go up, okay? So now the owner, the business person, whoever owns that building, is looking at a asset that is now turned into a liability. They're underwater with it. Let's say, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million in the red. So what happens to the banks when they just go turn the keys back in and say, here, we don't want it anymore?
Yeah, we're walking away.
Yeah, we're walking away.
Because
and how does that affect Americans? Everyday Americans.
How is it going to affect them?
Right.
That's going to ripple down, brother. I mean, look, that's high level stuff, right? I mean, we average day guys like us, you don't even think about that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but there's your basis, and it's going to just trickle right down.
Well, big picture, it does trickle down. Nobody really thinks about this kind of stuff, but in real life, it trickles down to everyday Americans. We all feel it. Okay, it takes away the money that we work hard for, and it takes away the opportunities that we have to go and attain success. And so these are subjects, these are scenarios that I want to bring awareness to. People need to start being aware of these types of things. Yeah. Listen, we've got three major converging real possible catastrophes that are going on in America right now. Okay, obviously we just kind of touched on the debt scenario and the economic crisis that we're facing and looking in. And the second thing that we have is the invasion at the southern border. Okay, so what we have is about they say 10 million illegal immigrants that have come across. Some will say that there's 12, 14, 16.
How do they know?
Either way, what's the
How do they know?
What's the population of the state of Georgia? 6 million, 7 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say we got two Georgias out there of illegal immigrants from where we don't know. I mean, we're talking about places like Venezuela. They're emptying out the prisons. Nicaragua. I mean, I don't know. Maybe places like Somalia and Syria where they say,
Haiti,
I don't know,
all
death
the
to
stuff's going on
death
in
to
Haiti.
Americans.
They're
all
trying.
this stuff in Haiti. So we've got all these folks that are coming in and rewriting American history. They're changing our culture, okay? And they're unvetted, and they're causing massive housing and tax and just I mean, you look in New York and they're giving them prepaid debit cards of $1,500 a month,
Yeah.
$1,500
Yeah,
a month.
a month.
Okay. California, you got to pay for illegals to have sex changes. California is offering health insurance to illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. And listen, I'm all for immigration into America. Legal immigration, those who have taken the proper steps, the lawful steps to become American citizens. That's the foundation of our country. That's the backbone that built this country, is on immigrants. We're all immigrants from somewhere. But somebody in our lineage, somebody in our heritage took the legal steps to attain the citizen. And man, for most of them, if you ever talk to them, it's one of the most impactful days of their life.
They came through Ellis Island.
Right. Yeah.
That's where they came through. They came. There was one port of entry.
Yep.
Ellis Island.
Yep. And so you've got the immigration issue, then you've got the economic issue, and the third major converging issue that I feel like we really have we're just starting to see is that we're kind of limping ourselves into, kinetically World War III over on the Eurasian landmass and Eurasian. I mean, how many countries are we involved in a shoot 'em up, blow 'em up war right now? Either directly or indirectly over there. So we are in no shape, form, or fashion to be in a scenario where we are battle ready as a United States military. Heck, I think we saw the Russian in Russia the other day, the terrorist attack, where I think there were 100 people and counting that were just ruthlessly murdered. And you look the very next day, our Department of National Intelligence, DNI, they put on their front page that congratulations to the first American's transgender spy. Okay, the day after there was a massive terror attack in Moscow, our Department of National Intelligence posted the picture, or just a big article of how we're so proud that we have a transgender, the first transgender that's representing the American Military Institute. So you can see maybe that we are not actually battle ready, and that they might have 10 million soldier fighting aged young men inside our country, and so we just need to be aware of these issues that are going on right now. And the more aware we are, the more information we have, the more we as citizens are prepared to combat the troubles that arise. And so, I just kind of wanted to bring awareness of that. And one of the things that I wanted to close with, man, we've talked on a lot of different subjects here today.
How much time do we have?
I'm not even sure.
We're at an hour and 3.
Are we? Okay.
We could be here.
Hey, last question. They're going to edit this thing. Last question. Okay. So with all that being said, what advice would you give to our audience members who are in the middle of the storm? They're in the middle of the grind, and they're trying to do better. They're wanting to attain more. They're wanting to get out of the rat race that they're in, but they're thinking about quitting and giving up.
All right. Look, you what's keeping you from doing it? All right. So here's my best advice. Men who are married and not happy, all right? Wives ain't treating you right, not doing what you ask them, or whatever you want to call it, okay? And you're blaming them. She's blaming you. You want her to follow you, right?
Right.
But you're not leading.
Right.
How can you expect people, kids, family, employees, wives, to follow you if you're not leading? Right? And so many of our men, they don't know how to lead.
Right.
And to be a leader, the first thing you have to do is forgive. Brother,
Amen.
Forgive the people that have wronged you. Forgive your wife for whatever she's done wrong. Forgive your son for making a bad mistake and wrecking the car.
Yeah.
All right. Forgive your employee for calling in sick and you found out he wasn't sick. All right. Look, start there.
Yeah.
Forgive.
Yeah.
Really forgive. And then become the leader. That means, by example, I'm never going to ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And guess what, honey? It's Friday now. Honey, what church service do you want to go to?
Right.
And then on Saturday, man, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Where you want to go eat after church? You understand? Be a leader.
Yeah.
Engage with your family at that level first, and then let it spill over to the rest of your life. And then don't be afraid. Just take a step a day and never be satisfied financially, because there's so much opportunity out there.
Man,
you just
that's
have to
so
go get it.
good. So good. So good. And I'll add to that, Blake, that forgiveness is something that it's extremely important to me in my life. And I believe that forgiveness has opened up the ways to goodness to my life. There was a man that shot and killed my mother. And I was 24, 25 years old, and man, I was super angry about it. And I'll say we're running short on time here, man. I wish we could do this. This has been awesome. It's just kind of blown through, but something enabled me to forgive the man that killed my mother. Okay, and in doing that, it has opened the ways of goodness and opportunity and blessings in my life. Forgiveness, I'll tell you, is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for me. Forgiveness is for you, and it's real. And that's one of the things that I would encourage you to pray about, ask about, focus on, make it a priority, because people are going to let you down. The people you care about and the people that you love the most, they're going to let you down. You know why? Because they're screw-ups too, because we're all full of fault. And so nobody is perfect. And if we hold all those ill will, we hold the regret, the resentment, then it turns our life into a big cycle of disappointment and failure and devastation. And so there is a blessing in forgiveness, and there is opportunity and success in forgiveness. So, man, listen, I'm going to wrap up today. This was awesome. I appreciate you. Hey, I want you to know I love you, brother.
Love you too,
You're a
brother.
good man, and I pray that so many people hear this message today. Hey, where can people find you? Is it monumentmaster.com?
No, I've got a little website. I really don't have a big online presence. I'm just...
If people want to learn more about Blake Blomquist, where can they find Blake Blomquist?
I have no idea. Come see me. Come see me at the cemetery. No, call my phone. I will talk.
Awesome. Well, like I said, man, thank you so much for being here today. It means the world to me. Hey, guys, if y'all like the podcast today, the Red Hot Read Nation, the Red Taylor Nation, if y'all like this podcast, do me a favor, go to wherever you listen, on Apple, on Spotify, real quick, just rate it, review it, and share it with someone else. That would mean the world to me, and you never know, if you share it with somebody else, hey, it may mean the world to them. And so, hey, till next time, this is Red Taylor, the Red Hot Read.